Do you get triggered easily or even get so angry that it literally takes hours for you to finally calm down? I mean, truth is, we've all been there before, myself included, but there is a better way forward. And in today's episode, I'm going to teach you 5 steps that you can follow. And I've used these personally, and they've helped me massively in keeping my cool. My name's Evan, and this is the Elemental Evan Show. And in today's episode, we're going to cover these 5 different steps. So let's go ahead and kick it off with step number 1. Step number 1 is simply awareness. You need to become aware of the fact that you are becoming triggered before that anger has the ability to essentially take root, right? So if someone is triggering you, or you're having a conversation, or there's a text message that's been sent to you, if you can simply just become aware of the fact that this is a triggering event that is starting to ignite those flames within you and starting to kind of spark up that anger, it's a great opportunity for you to simply just become aware of those emotions and understand that you are starting to become triggered. And simply by becoming aware, many times can actually even just stop you from going past that point of no return, right? So the first step here is literally just becoming aware of the fact that you are getting angry before it has the opportunity to actually take root. Number 2 is going to be simply to remove yourself from the situation. So if you were not able to catch yourself before you got to that point of no return, you weren't able to become aware of your anger, or maybe you did become aware of your anger, but you still got past that point, and now there's just, you're seeing red and your blood is boiling, the best thing you can do is remove yourself from the situation. And this comes to us from a famous Stoic quote from Seneca, which says that delay is the best remedy for anger. And this is so true, because if you think about an altercation or a text message, you get a bad text message from someone, and if you respond immediately, you might say things that you really don't mean, use some very mean words in there as well. But if you were to wait literally just a couple hours or maybe a full day and come back to that text message, I promise you your response is going to be a lot more level-headed, calm, and cool, as opposed to responding literally right after. And the same thing goes with an altercation with someone. If you just simply walk away from the event and come back maybe a day later, you're able to then speak to that person without those strong emotions of anger being present. So removing yourself from the situation is definitely going to be the second step here, and really the best option if you get to that point of no return. However, there are situations where you are really not able to remove yourself from the situation, right? Maybe you're at work and someone is chewing you out, and you really can't just get up and walk out without losing your job or something along those lines. Well, this is going to bring us to step number 3, which is a daily practice for me. This is going to be breathing. This is Lineage's air-dried steak classic flavor, and yes, it is as delicious and juicy and yummy as it looks. Lineage has once again hit it out of the park with this bad boy. Super clean ingredients. There's literally 3 ingredients in here: 100% grass-fed beef, organic apple cider vinegar, and salt. That's it. Just 3 simple ingredients. Your kids are going to love these. They're a campfire favorite. I take them camping with me every single time. I actually have to stop myself from eating these because I want them to last. They are insane, and you absolutely need to throw out whatever trash beef jerky you're getting from the gas station and go get yourself some of these. It's going to be way cleaner. No added sugar, nothing like that in these bad boys. Just really simple, clean ingredients. And you get a discount code for being a listener to the show. That's always my thank you. And as well, Lineage's thank you for being a listener to the show. So go check them out. They have incredible products. I use pretty much everything they have. You just can't go wrong. So go check them out. The link is going to be in the description. And let's get back to today's show. Peace. Breathing is an incredibly powerful tool. We can actually use it to both calm ourselves down and also to activate ourselves and get us a little bit more energized. So we can utilize this as a tool. And if you don't believe me, trust me, you can go look up a bunch of studies on this by deep belly breathing, where you inhale and expand your lower abdomen and your belly, and you're really following the breath in slowly and then through your nose, and then exhaling through your mouth very slowly, even longer actually than your inhale. What you're going to be doing is activating your parasympathetic nervous system. This is literally your rest and digest state. So you can actually put yourself in a calmer state in a moment of where you're feeling triggered. Now, don't get me wrong, you're still probably going to feel pretty angry and triggered in this time, but it could literally be the difference between you fully blowing up and at least kind of keeping your cool and being able to make it through the situation until you can finally remove yourself from this altercation. So the way you would practice this is simply by bringing full awareness to your breath as it comes in through your nose, very slow, and you want to feel your belly expand as you're inhaling. And then on the exhale, like I said, slowly and softly through your mouth, you can allow the breath to flow out, and you want to do this as a longer exhale. Now, people might be looking at you weird if you were to just sit there and they might be like, oh, dude, what's going on with this guy? But you don't have to make it look so dramatic. You can speak to the person, or rather not speak to them, but just pay attention and be doing this breath without, making a big, obvious, closed eyes and making this loud noise. You can very softly inhale, still keep eye contact, and, make sure that you're still in this conversation or whatever it might be. But really just helping to calm down the nervous system. And as well, if the words that the person are saying are really triggering you, it might even help for you to just actually kind of tune them out a little bit and listen or pay more attention to the flow of breath coming in through your nose and the flow of breath coming out of your mouth, and just really follow that, bringing yourself into the present moment and calming yourself down. Like I said, really calming down the nervous system. So breathing is a super powerful tool, and I use it very often, even in situations where I'm not being triggered, but rather just, a daily practice, because the breath is such a powerful tool. And like I said, it can literally be the difference between you completely blowing up and at least maintaining a little bit of your composure. Number 4, and this might be one of the hardest steps actually, but this is to listen with compassion. So the reason we should listen with compassion is, first off, because we need to understand that everyone, much like ourselves, is going through something in life, whether it's big or small. We don't know. It's all up to their perception of the events that they have been going through. And it could be something from childhood. It could be something from just 10 minutes ago or, 5 minutes ago, where they were getting chewed out by someone and now they're just passing that anger on to you. And simply by being fully present in the conversation and holding space for the person to kind of unload, which is unfortunate because, granted, a lot of the times the anger isn't even something that is a direct cause of you, but rather it's just being directed at you because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, like I said, this is unfortunate, but it does happen. However, we can totally turn the situation around, because I believe that most people truly mean well and they don't actually want to chew you out. So simply by being compassionate and fully present in the conversation, giving full awareness to them, making eye contact, listening without trying to interpret or interject or even take things personally. When you do this, it offers the person a space to kind of vent and get things off of their chest that they might have been holding on to. And I've seen this happen time and time again, where I just hold space for someone, and even in the moment, they talk everything out, and then they go, I'm sorry. I don't know why I just blew up on you. I really didn't mean to take that out on you. And now all of a sudden the person is thanking you for a situation that could have been terrible, right? And they first started off even just super angry at you, but now they're actually thanking you for just taking the time to be compassionate and listen to them. And a lot of the times this happens when you are taking those deep breaths, feeling connected and in the present moment, and you're able to hold that space without feeling like you're being attacked, because most of the time people aren't even meaning to attack you. They're just angry at some other event in their life. Now, I have to caveat that with the fact that there are people in this world who, unfortunately, whether it's something from childhood or, I don't know, maybe they're just inherently a bad person, but there are some people who are beyond your compassionate listening and they need deeper help, right? Deeper work needs to be done on them. And in these moments, when you come across someone like this, it really is beneficial to remember that the best revenge is to not be like that person. And so that kind of comes to us from another quote by Marcus Aurelius, and I kind of paraphrased it there, but simply just understanding that the best revenge you can get from this person is to not be like them, because honestly, being them is a terrible situation. It sucks. You don't want to be like them because they're miserable. They don't like their lives. Why else would they want to come out and attack people and make everybody else miserable just so they can be on their own level, right? So they're not the only person that's in this miserable state all the time. And so if you can actually remind yourself like, hey, I'm so happy. I am not as miserable as that person. I love my life and I can live it in joy and happiness. I don't need to be like that person. You can just simply hold that statement in your mind, let them say whatever they need to say, understand it is literally not an attack on you. It's their own personal issue. And just hold that statement in your mind, allow them to vent or say whatever they need to say if you can't remove yourself from the situation, right? Like if you can remove yourself from the situation, do that like 5 minutes ago. But if you can't, let them vent, whatever, hear them out, and then just remember, cool, I am so happy I am not like that person. That right there is truly the best revenge, is to just not be like them. So if you can use compassionate listening for those who are worthy of it, then go ahead and do so. And then even for those who are not really worthy of the compassionate listening, still give them it and then just move on with your life, because you don't need to be like that person, right? So now let's get on to the last step here. Our last step, step 5, is going to be to meditate on it. Or I've even heard people say, feel it to heal it. And what this means is simply when you go through a altercation or just a moment of anger, it really takes a toll on not only your mental state or your emotional state, but even on your physical state. I mean, it literally affects your entire being when you go through an altercation. And this was very apparent to me when I was going through a 5-day fast. I was on day 3. I ended up getting in an altercation, which I don't recommend, especially on a fast, because you're very sensitive. But after this altercation, I'm talking literally hours after the altercation. First off, I was still thinking about the event and still triggered by it. But on top of that, my body was literally dealing with all of the crazy emotions and adrenaline that I just went through. You know, like I said, I was fasted, so I was a lot more sensitive to things, but you know, you get put into a fight or flight response when you get into an altercation, and it does take a toll on your body, right? So what ended up happening to me was that I felt in my digestion that I was bloated. I felt like I had a lot of knots in my stomach, and it took literally, 3 hours after the event for my digestive system to fully relax and kind of release everything. And it really just kind of left me asking myself this question: was those 2 minutes of an altercation worth hours of physical discomfort? And then following, even to the next day, I was still thinking about this event. It was like literally draining my energy, my mental energy and emotions, for what? 2 minutes that solved nothing, right? So what I had to do to make sure that I could remedy this was to actually process these emotions. And I say meditate, but you can really do a few different practices here. I love meditation personally, and so that's the tool that I use. But simply just becoming present of the event and kind of walking through it is really going to be beneficial. So a practice that you can do, even aside from meditation, is to simply recount the event. And this doesn't have to be immediately after. It could be the next day, but you want to walk through the event step by step. And you want to do it without any interjections of what if or if only. Like, you know, all of those ideas can pop up, but you want to push those to the side. You just want to get through the event, right? Without any interjections. And then if you do get angry or, you know, start getting worked up just by even thinking about the event, take a couple deep breaths, wait until you get into a calm state, get back to this story, and finish it through. Now, after you've done that, go ahead and either reach out to somebody like a friend, family member, maybe a therapist, or you could even do like a voice memo or a journal. Like if you have a journal, you can write down the event and even your thoughts about it. And what you're doing there is you're actually putting it outside of you. You are no longer being in the event. You are observing it from an outsider's perspective, which hopefully will give you a little bit more clarity on how the events went and kind of what took place. And after you've gone through that process, then what you can do is you can follow up with some meditation, and you can meditate multiple days on this, right? And you're actually not even really meditating on the event, but rather you're meditating to calm and relax the nervous system. You're doing it to become more present and in the moment and allow for all of those emotions and literally like maybe even the physical trauma that's in your body to pass. You're releasing that tension. So when you meditate and you can just really relax the body, come into the present moment and not feel like those events are still just like popping up in your head constantly, that's how you know you've kind of passed that the emotions of that event. And especially if you can speak about the event without feeling triggered, that also is a good sign that you have passed those emotions. I recommend that people do breath work and meditation daily, because honestly, we live with like a low level stress pretty much every day to some degree. So by meditating, you're kind of hitting that reset button and allowing yourself to just fully feel present, feel safe, feel calm, and come into that, once again, that parasympathetic nervous system state, which is that state where you feel calm and safe and relaxed, right? Because obviously when you're stressed and you're put into an altercation where you're feeling angry, you're getting into the opposite end of that, which is that fight or flight response kind of deal. And in that state, granted, we need that state to survive as humans, but when you live in that state for too long, it can cause a lot of health issues for you. And so that's why we need to get ourselves back into this rest and digest state where we feel calm and relaxed and feeling at peace, right? Feeling safe. So those are the 5 steps. And I'm going to leave you with some closing words here, which are that everyone gets angry. So it's not something for you to really just beat yourself up over. But I will say it is our duty to work on ourselves and to be better, right? If we can get in control of our anger and our emotions and become responsive and not reactive, this is, I believe, our duty as human beings, because it's the only thing that we control. We only control ourselves. We don't control outside events. We don't control other people. We don't control how they react or how they show up when they come and speak to us, right? We only control how we can respond to them and receive them. So I think it truly is our duty to lead by example and to work on ourselves and be the best version that we can possibly be. Thank you all so much for tapping in. I hope you received a lot of benefit from today's episode. I know that I have, because I've used these 5 steps many times, and I hope you get the opportunity to try these out as well the next time you feel triggered or angry. And please, if you have any benefit from the 5 steps, leave a comment in the comment section. And as well, if you aren't already subscribed or following, you already know, do the thing. I would really appreciate it. And that way you don't miss any of these episodes. So thank you all so much for being here, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a doctor or other qualified medical professional. Evan Roberts is not a medical professional, and this podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services. Statements and views expressed on this show are not medical advice. This podcast, including Evan Roberts and any guests on the show, disclaims responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this episode. If you think you have a medical problem, please consult a medical professional.